Hi, everyone. And this week I'm talking to the wonderful Graham Brewis,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
is the founder of Clean Slate Financial Wellbeing Services, CIO. So that's Charitable Incorporated Organization. Um,
Yep.
so, Graham, so lovely to talk to you today. I'm proper
Likewise.
excited about having a
Wonderful to
chat
talk
with
to you.
you. So let's just jump straight into what the heckity who is Clean Slate.
Well, Clean Slate has been 15 years now, into our 16th year since we're into
Wow.
2025. And it started as a um, as something I observed dealing with other organizations like um, proper organizations like HMRC, job seekers, DWP, housing companies, and how they all boasted that they looked after their tenants, their citizens, their residents. And in fact, they were pretty poor. And I based that on my own experiences. You know yourself, I don't mind sharing this, but I'm a recovering alcoholic, but way down the line now, 20 years. Although many of the issues are still only around the corner. You know, I could go and have a drink within 5 minutes of here in the city
Mhm.
centre of Newcastle. So I was aware that in some ways I was fortunate because I used to work for Northern Rock Building Society, K. I don't know if you knew that actually, anyway. And so I had some financial skills myself, but I found it baffling to try and come across this benefit system which needed to be changed and has changed to universal credit with some improvements perhaps on a good day. Debt management, all the things that I was suffering from, there was no help for me really. And the existing, I want to be careful when I say this because a lot of the other agencies, I've always thought because of the way that I am, we should all be in this together. And there was like scoring points about which agency does this and which agency does that. And I was go to one person over benefits, someone else over debt, energy, someone else. And so I wanted to set up Clean Slate as a one stop. So anything that you have concerns about in your personal finance, whatever it may be, unless it's too complicated or legal perhaps, then we'll help you on along the way and try and this has all been I always get this phrase in, Kate, so I'll get it the short of it now so I don't know it. We've never been we've never had much mission drift in
Mhm.
the 15 years. That's what we're good at. We're good at taking problems away from people temporarily, sorting them out, explaining how we've sorted them out, so that to give it an element of uh, prevention for the future so they don't get into that hassle themselves again. And that's how it started. I wrote to every drug and alcohol commissioner in the Northeast. I only got one reply, and I'll mention it was Northumberland County Council. And then this is something like I know we're going to talk about small businesses and that, and this is something that happens, but it was a slice of luck. The Northumberland County Council said, "We understand what you're saying. We like it. We really buy into it. We want to give you some money." I hadn't even asked for any money.
Mhm.
We've got some money allocated, which is in overspend, which we need to spend now. You know, these things I know about now with the way that budgets work, but I didn't know it then. So I thought it was plain sailing. This everyone would give me £25,000, but that was an enormous amount to start with.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't say we've never looked back. We've had a long and steadily successful year in it. So the passion comes from. We also get asked to do. I was just talking to the rest of my colleagues here. We get asked to do all sorts of things, and we do stick pretty rigidly to what we're good at. We'll signpost people on, but only if we can't help them ourselves, and sometimes we can't
Mhm.
do the whole package, which is what we like to do. The other thing we started to do, Kate, which still is going on, is one of the first jobs I got was with Prices, an outfit in Newcastle, and I like working with them a lot. And they wanted me because I'm a teacher, qualified teacher. They wanted me to deliver some money management courses, and
Mhm.
I had a look at them, and they were rubbish. And the one thing that we do here is talk about the real life situation. So, we talk about in if you go to a money management course, or I'm not mentioning any names, there must be all sorts of people do them, but like they say, what are your priority debts? And it's of course it's rent and mortgage and council tax and gas and electricity, but it's also the bloke with a baseball bat, perhaps at your front door,
Hmm.
who wants loan shark money back. That's reality sort of stuff. And that's all that gets summarized sometimes is it's illegal. Well, it's illegal, but it doesn't stop that type of thing happening. So we rewrote all the courses, and six of them, and developing various stages of looking after your money. And we'd like to
Amazing.
take it to level three. It's at level two at the moment. Um, but so we enjoy doing the courses as well, and we do specific ones. One of the things with one of my colleagues, I'm not mentioning their name just in case, but the other thing is we're all in recovery. Huge factor to mention because it gives us such a huge head start when we're talking to people. So one of our clients, one of our staff, came back and had a horrendous. I think his credit rating was 150 or something, and he started to do research in it and improved it and got it up to now the maximum you can get 990.
Wow.
That's in a couple of years. That's fantastic. So he's now done a course on that, and we used to do this thing on one of the courses and say, how many people here know what their credit score is?
Hmm.
There used to be hardly no one, right? So we've changed it a bit now because there's a few hands going up. Aha, okay. So you're wondering, you've seen these adverts. How many people understand them? And even fewer hands. And then, how many would like to know how to get a good one? And then all the hands come back up.
Hmm.
And we do all this thing. It's very heavily researched. We're looking to get a big backer to that who will give us some sort of platform of independence so we can deliver that out to people. And in fact, we checked one on at a school. I'm off again, Kate, as you know, I'm always like this. We checked out it became quite competitive with them taking working out how they can improve their score.
Hmm.
It's sort of lose track nearly a bit, right? And the other thing, and I will get back onto the subject, never ever think these credit ratings are for you.
Hmm.
They're for the lenders to make up decisions themselves. So they're not always right when they assess your credit score. They're looking for people who will pay interest to them. But
Yeah, for sure. So, Graham, to summarize, you are extremely passionate about helping people to have good financial well-being across all of their personal finances, and you support that through the delivery of training programs that are really specific to the real world. It isn't
mm,
about, the big floopy stuff that very few people, whatever, stock market shares and that kind of stuff. It
yeah,
isn't that level of finance, but it is more around um, the real world of managing money and making sure that you can make ends meet and that you're making it work for you and that you're not getting into difficulty by not knowing how to manage it. Um, I think
together.
I think the first interaction I had with you, Graham, was when I was working at the Scotswood area
I
strategy,
remember
and I
that
remember,
place for weeks on end, and I thought I must see what's going on in there because it was in the middle of that the rise. It's called that.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
There's no houses. They pulled down some fantastic old houses for
mhm,
this, and it just looked like a wasteland. And there was you in a
yeah.
pub, Kate. The pub at Shafto, was it next door to you? It closed down, but a famous pub.
Yeah, yeah, I think they'd all been knocked down by that point as well. Um, but what you came in to talk to us about was really it was running up to Christmas, wasn't it? And it was
Mm.
about helping people to think about the reality of, I don't know if I can say this, but back then it was Bright House and
Oh yes,
the sort of the high
yeah,
street shops where people could get a sofa for whatever, £10 a week, but they were going to be actually
big
paying
effort.
like £1 million for a sofa or something because
Yeah.
of the payment terms. And you guys came in and did some work with our participants around
What you say there,
reality of
Kate,
these
is
things.
fantastic because that slide
Hmm.
had so much power,
Hmm.
and it was trying eventually getting people to think a little bit more rather than just pay the tenner a week. And we said, well, okay, but it's over 3 years or 4 years or 5 years. That is how much you will pay
Hmm.
for your settee, which if you had the cash in the first place, the cash price, which is probably inflated anyway,
Hmm.
is like a fifth of it.
Yeah,
Scandalous. And I really had
yeah.
some purchase.
So you guys do some really important work. And like you say, you've been running now for 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've noticed with you guys is that your legal structure has changed over that time, hasn't it? So it
Yeah,
hasn't, you weren't set up as a charity to start off with, but you're
no,
a charity now. So I'm
yeah.
wondering how you're finding that. Like, I think a lot of people are a little bit nervous about setting up charities. So what's your experience been, and why did you pick the CIO?
Well, it's a great question and a really important one because we do other things with some people that we reviving the heart and things like that about people who are uncertain about the legal structure. And I have to say, originally we were pointed in the direction of a kick. And in those days, because it's quite a while ago now, obviously, that was where it was a compact little offering that could help small businesses. And there was supposed to be a lot of funding to go with it. And the funding didn't really happen in the state that we wanted it to happen. We got dribs and drabs, and then we started getting going to funders events and saying virtually kicks need not apply. And we
Mhm.
couldn't really get an answer about something. So we took it to our board, and who had different more experiences in that. And someone said the CIO is similar to a kick in a way, but it's a charity. And I had originally been talked off charities because of the enormous amount of admin there is involved in it. And I've never been very good at that. Well, but I was convinced. We also had some other people join me, and they were willing to take on the onerous task because it must be of getting it through. In terms of results, we've never had such a successful year funding wise as we did last year.
Mhm.
Now to link it all to the maybe, but it's part of it is too. And also when you're talking to funders, it's not that you get a growl or anything. People still like charities, and they
Mhm.
still like people to support it. And we always get a good response when we say. But sometimes when you say kick, there's a slight smirk. Sometimes you're not getting anything from that.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah, it's definitely harder to get grants
the other
if
thing,
you're a kick.
ongoing thing, that is like it does involve more, but so it should. Like the kick thing it was just a statement saying we're doing the same thing.
Mhm.
The charity thing, investigate. And the other thing we had two lottery things. One from the National Lottery, one as a kick, and one from the for when we became a charity, and we just felt it. All of us felt more responsible.
Hmm.
Not that we weren't cooking the books or anything, but we wanted to really, because they asked, how much, and we wanted to say things like, we're seeing all these people, which is good news, so the numbers are good, but what we're doing with them is creating this amount of revenue for them and so keeping it in the local economy, things like that. It felt much more proud to be involved with, if that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for
we're
sure.
definitely pleased that we did it.
Mhm.
None of us have thought that we should have stayed as a cook.
And you've mentioned there the difference with the reporting that for a kick you just had to report that yeah you were doing the
Yeah.
stuff that you said you were going to do, but for a charity it's a little bit more onerous than that. What is the process for you guys? Do you have to do an annual report? Is it the accounts? Like what have you got to
Well,
that point yet? Have you done an
yeah,
annual?
yeah, no,
Yeah.
we're right in the middle of it because there's
Ah,
about
okay.
5 or 6 funding, and all because of the charity thing, and we're at various stages with them. It really depends what they want. I have to say, some of them are not talking about the lottery here. Some of them are all they want is the most simple explanation about the work that we're doing.
Hmm.
Others are in big detail. We get some money from Newcastle Council now, which is great, and they want an awful lot of detail.
Hmm.
Um, but also um, we had a thing which came up like just a silly little thing. One of our successes is because we're here in Newcastle, city centre Newcastle. We have a place in George Street in the west end of Newcastle. There's Plumber Court, which is just around the corner, and we have other offices that we can use. So one of the big hurdles for people with addiction problems is they can't be bothered. We make it much more easier for them to come to us. We don't
Hmm.
mind, so that means our do not attends are very low.
Interesting.
Yeah, now that's in we only look at NHS waiting lists and cancellations at millions of pounds. Well, we started if on one of the spreadsheets, we if anyone cancelled, we just deleted it. Then we realised, hold on, that is really important information. We need to record how few people actually don't attend. And the other thing that we started to do was we said that some of the it's not like it with us. Some of the agencies like to sort of like to get it over and done with and see them on their way. And you know, you've done that, and so like some of them may say, you know, there's your benefits sorted, and bye bye, good luck. And then what we do is we'll say we have this thing called the not so fast clause, Kate, which is just as they're going out the door and say, hold on, when you first came to see us, did you say you had £5 worth of debt? And you had the wrong energy supplier. Get back in here, we'll get that sorted. So it's
amazing.
It's the what's the word? Holistic approach.
Yeah.
To it all. So let's look at it all. What's the point of going out getting your benefits fixed if you're getting knackered by £5 worth of Barclay cards or credit card debt? So,
amazing. So Graham, in your 15, 16 years of running Clean Slate, what would you say is your biggest piece of advice for anyone that's on this journey running their own organisation?
You know, I've changed this. I've answered this before, and I've changed the answer. But one thing which is consistent is, and people who listen to this it'll ring bells with most of them, I'd expect, is it does become overpowering. It becomes whatever a little baby or something like that. And it's difficult to find anyone who will share your level of passion about it. And you might even criticize them internally about it. You can't do that. Keep your enthusiasm as alive and as passionate as you can make it. And just remember that not everyone quite is on the same ballpark thing. The people I've got here are, because we're all in recovery. It's one of the great things about it. And that's a great thing. And the other thing is, involves you, Kate, is surround yourself by good people, strong people, people who really are on your side, who are, you know, we are all in this together. We do fantastic work. And I get a huge buzz from that. I don't get a buzz so much from when we send figures in about the number of, you know, tell you one thing, which is going to be interesting. We've got a volunteer with us at the moment, and she's doing a specific thing. In the 15 years that we've been doing, I've kept everything. Well, not everything, but I've kept a diary of appointments at least. And I've asked this lady if she'll put it all together and try and work out how much we've got. We're going to be not far short of helping people to £1 million over these 15 years.
Wow.
In benefits we've found for people, and debt that we've had to get either written off or put into a debt management plan.
Oh, crikey, that's amazing.
Yeah. So yes, surround yourselves with strong people
and keep your paperwork by the sounds of it to be able to pull those kind of impact measurement little nuggets out.
It was stuck on the old computer, which is up here, but it just run out of time on it, and just everything. And it's the idea was to do like and it happens. It was what we were on about earlier in keeping in touch with people. It's there are still people who have been with Clean Slate for 15 years. In fact, the first client ever is still, you know. So that's the sort of thing we like. It's a bit difficult to manage because people depend on you, and there is a certain thing to package them all the way, and that's you sorted. And we used to say, in fact, that's you sorted now. I don't want to see your ugly face again. It's not a nice thing to say. It meant it in a nice way.
Yeah.
This lady, the first lady who did this the £1 million thing. Anyway, she came to us and we just to try, and she had some debts and we wanted to know if she could afford anything to pay off them. And she said, and we did her income, and she had, this was the wrong way around. She had much more income than she was spending, but she had no money. So we did this thing. I haven't got one over it anyway. We got a little book, a little ring-full book type thing, and we asked her to that sort of size thing. We asked her to record everything she spent her money on, everything, even if it was a Mars bar, Even if she said, I'm going in the shop and I've got to buy a Mars bar, I've got to write it down in that stupid book that Graham would put it down for about a fortnight. And she came back and she was in a recovery case. And she went to meetings on every single day.
Hmm.
And every single day after the meeting, she went for a coffee and a cake. And she didn't put that in her book, but she did then. And that amounted to £145 a month, which was the excess she should have had. So we then started talking about, well, coffee and a cake's a great idea. Perhaps you don't need to do it every single day.
Mm.
I said, when I was in my early recovery from addiction, I got addicted to peanuts.
Hmm.
I saved all the money I spent on peanuts, and I went on a holiday to Budapest.
Wow,
That's what
that's a lot of
happened.
peanuts.
So, £334 a year I was spending on peanuts.
My goodness.
Anyway, and she said, right, well, I want to go to Cuba. 2 years ago, she made it to Cuba.
That's cool.
And she
That's
didn't,
very
it's not
cool.
quite as romantic as I thought, but
Yeah,
it's true that she saved the money that she was
yeah,
spending. And she's still
that's
sober.
amazing.
She's better. So,
Brilliant, Graham. Well, I'm aware that we are right at the end of our interview
already.
time slot. So, my last question to you then is you've got the ears of the Northeast Changemakers community. Is there anything that they can do to, is it signposting participants to you, or can they follow you on social media? Is there anything they can do to support Clean Slate to be even more successful than it is now?
Well, I don't like to look back any offers of help. We're interested in anything that people think, just when I listen to people, it quite often happens that something sparks in my head,
Hmm.
and that might be something that I would want to get involved in. There's something just as an aside, we've got, well, I get, not so much you, I guess, but I get inundated with figures and statistics and stuff like that. And this figure came up that the biggest uh, killer of young men under the age of 40 is suicide. And it was like that knocked me sideways. So we're going to do things like that, explore different little avenues of money management and why that could. And our slogan is like, not slogan, but no matter how bad it gets, there's not one debt solution that's come to us that hasn't been resolved.
Hmm.
There are consequences, of course, there are. The worst being bankruptcy. I don't know how many bankruptcies I've seen, but I've never known anyone not feel better with it when it's happened. So there's that. And the other thing is one of the things everyone in Newcastle now, if they have an addiction problem and money issues, the go-to place, that's our phrase, is Clean Slate. Yeah. And everyone, we're going to try and be, I think we're part of this recovery city for Newcastle being within the UK, is be ahead of the rest of the other vulnerable groups, if you like, which is terrible to say. Like everyone who's in recovery should be able to start afresh with their finances, yeah, to a standard. When I mentioned we get funding from different places, they have different requirements, which that makes it a little difficult for us. So what we want to do is get a standard agreed, whether it's, for instance, one of the first things we do is everyone gets a benefit check
Hmm.
for everything. There's a lot of pressure put on us to get personal and independence payments, and it's a fragmented system. 6 ages, and also people who aren't equipped to do it are doing it, which means they're cheating the system on a few occasions, but generally they're not doing their best. We are experts at PIP, and I think we only lost. I think last year we only lost two. That's about 10 in the whole of the 15 years, and those things should be done correctly.
Hmm.
Um, so there
Okay,
you go.
so can people that are looking for the PIP support, can they be
Yeah.
referred to you? Is that
Yeah.
the offer there as well?
With the funding is that they have to be in recovery from addiction.
Right. Okie
They don't have to
dokie.
be they don't have to be sober or clean of drugs. That's a lot to ask. That hopefully will come along with it.
Okay,
So,
so eligibility criteria applies, little star
yeah,
here.
and it's
So talk to
Newcastle.
Graham.
Yeah.
Okay then, Graham. Well, it's
Okay.
been an absolute pleasure to talk to you
Well, it's
and
great
hear
to
more
talk to you too.
about the work that you do. We're going to share all of the links for your different social media accounts and that kind of stuff so people can connect with you.
Oh, marvelous.
But yeah, thank you ever so much for your time, and
Okay.
I hope that we can chat again soon.
Let's hope so.
Thank you for joining today's chat. If you'd like to be featured on the next series, please email hello@junctionpoint.co.uk. Speak to you soon.